has raised concerns that governments and the private sector may be struggling to defend against hackers. If the hand is mightier than the sword, then in today's world, these are the mightiest of all. Even capable of bringing a titan multilateral organization such as the International Monetary Fund or IMF to its knees. The IMF is the latest in a long list of high-profile victims such as Sony, Google and Citigroup that have fallen victim to cyber attacks. On 10th June, Citigroup admitted that about 200,000 credit card holders' account details were accessed. Sony has suffered a barrage of attacks this year, including a major breach of its PlayStation network in April, resulting in the leak of more than 70 million accounts.
Information protection is the game we're playing. My name can't be used as a means to attack me, yet maybe my birth date, or maybe, say for instance, what my mother's name is, as a security question, may be used to validate who I am. If a hacker community can grab millions of users of credit card information with the users' names attached to the credit card information, they can now transact business, sell that type of information to individuals that are interested in malicious activities, and then progress in a malicious underground activity.
They can either sell the information to data mining companies, or even the competitors that engage certain people to do espionage, to gather certain information to proceed with denial of services.
It is not clear if the number of cyber attacks are increasing or if institutions are simply more comfortable about disclosing them. Hackers, like the information and organizations they target, are diverse in their motives and modus operandi. They can use their expertise constructively or destructively. Called white hats, these are the ethical hackers or good guys. They test the vulnerability of an organization's information system, thereby beefing up security against the black hats, ones engaged in the illegal harvesting of data and the destruction of these systems.
One of the ideas is maybe mischief. Well, I can think like mischief and trying to prove or even trying to seek attention from the government authorities. They're trying to prove something and trying to achieve something which normal people don't do.
Sometimes hackers don't violate the networks of these organizations just to steal the information. They do it to also cause damage. The damage could be reputation damage. The damage could be physical damage in as much in the early, I would say 2000 to 2006. And even earlier than that, we had seen a lot of attacks from what we would call a denial of service, which is the ability to block that business from doing business on the internet. I want to cause damage, I want to cause as much damage and as wide as I can cause it, potentially stealing information, selling it on the black market, the underground black market, and making some money out of it. And of course, fame.
The IMF has faced repeated cyber attacks in recent years. It routinely collects sensitive information about the financial conditions of its 187 member nations. Some of these data could conceivably be used to influence trade, currencies, or bonds. It seems that the hackers behind the latest infiltration employed a technique called phishing. Phishing involves sending emails that look legitimate to organizations and target individuals in order to extract personal information. Once the individual updates these personal particulars, the hacker grabs the information. Another common attack mechanism includes the use of botnets or robot networks. Botnets refer to a large group of puppet computers that have come under the control of a master computer operated by a hacker through the installation of malware. So, by infecting these computers with malware, the hacker has an army at his disposal or the sale to execute cyber attacks on demand.
You can buy a botnet network, typically 10,000 machines, for about $15. In other words, if you were minded in that way to try to attack a competitor, you're a small, medium business, you want to attack a competitor, you could literally go into the underground, pay a fee, a nominal fee, get access to 10,000 machines via software, to use that time on that network, and this is the botnet network we're talking about, to then target your competitor's network and try to cause some malicious activity on their network.
When you penetrate the network, they get whatever information they needed. They publicize. Look, we can actually retrieve the list of credentials, a list of user credentials. So it also gives the customer a point of view that to consider whether to purchase such appliances or applications.
In 2010, such breaches cost companies, on average, $7.2 million per incident. Most of this was due to a loss in business caused by consumers who felt betrayed, perhaps motivating companies to delay coming clean about the occurrence of such incidents. To the chagrin of many consumers, Citibank took 3 weeks to notify them of the cybersecurity breach.
The expectation would be that if a service provider has in its possession information that, if exposed to third parties, would lead to the customer, in turn, suffering potential risk or loss, then I think in general law there would be a duty to have at least the customer become aware of this fact so that corrective steps can be taken. In terms of what the MAS specifies for banks, I think they would expect that there is prompt disclosure. The MAS does, of course, recognize that that must be balanced against the need to address customer confidence issues and so forth. So there are no hard and fast rules.
In Singapore, the IT security measures of different sectors are regulated by different authorities. That, unfortunately, means that when a security breach happens, there is usually no clear path of compensation for the consumer. Organizations such as banks usually only cover their consumers in the case of a demonstrable financial loss directly linked to the security breach, and only upon proof of gross negligence.
We've got the money safe guarantee, So a money safe guarantee is really the gold standard, as I say, for our customers. That irrespective, as long as you keep your password safe and you keep your what we call a secure ID, which gives the random generation what you have, as long as you keep these two items safe, password, ID, and the token, you are in a sense covered.
What we don't have is an overarching data protection law, which I think, for example, in countries like in Europe, you would have such data generic or general data protection laws. I think there's been quite a bit of debate over the need for introducing an overarching kind of legislation, but I think the sense increasingly is that there's probably a need to start regulating how our data or information about us as individuals is being collected, processed, and used.
After the break, it has been called a war in the fifth domain, cyber attacks. In the ever-evolving digital battle, can cybersecurity technology keep up with the hackers? Stay tuned. At least 6 Malaysian government websites were hacked into after the internet vigilante group Anonymous threatened to punish the authorities for censorship. Anonymous's previous victims include the Turkish government, the FBI, and the US Senate. Now, besides organizations, companies, individuals, and governments have also increasingly become the target of cyber attacks.
More people are now learning to hack governments because there's more government hacks, because there's more online services.
Marmont was only 16 when he managed to hack into the database of an international institution.
The greatest achievement which I actually achieved was I penetrated all the way into a space center, and I they control their cameras.
Shutting down a nuclear facility 1,000 miles away remotely used to sound like a plot from a science fiction movie. But that is exactly what hackers did to the Bushehr nuclear power plant in Iran late last year using a worm. It's believed to be the first known worm designed to target real-world infrastructure.
Typically, there are three possible end results. One is destruction or damage to physical assets. Something explodes or something gets destroyed. It can happen, even through electronic means. The second possibility is no destruction, nobody gets killed, but disruption of services. The power supply goes down, or all the ATMs in the country go down. No one gets hurt, but you get inconvenience. You can't get your cash, and people start to get very agitated and socially disturbed. And the third is theft or destruction of data.
A recent survey by McAfee found that cybercriminals prefer to operate